Let's preview Friday in the NBA, waiver wire, streaming, injury updates. Michael Bolton. Did you hear Immanuel Quickley might be back?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and just so you don't hear any wild rumours, I'm being indicted for fraud in Australia. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there is no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to fanduel.com to get started. Also check out lockedondaily.com and find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. Lockedondaily.com is where you go for that. Double bangs and thumbs and all that stuff is very much appreciated over on this end too. Live trade deadline show Thursday, February 6th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Go check out the video. Give it a like in advance. Drop some comments in chat if you want. All right, Friday's games we're talking about. As always, everything is an evolving living organism in the NBA, injury reports and updates and things changing at all points. So we'll do our best to give you timely information, and then we'll see what happens if it changes. Let's take a look at these 7 games. No early start time, so we're all good. We're all in the clear there. First game is Dallas heading to Detroit to take on the Pistons. This is the Pistons 1.5-point favorites. Pretty wild. They're favorites against the Mavs. It is a scheduled plus spot for Detroit. Luka is going to be out. Derek Lively will be out. Maxi Kleber will be out. I expect Dwight Powell to be out for Dallas as well. But we could get the first appearance all season of Dante Exum, who was upgraded last game, didn't play. I'll put him questionable here. There are minutes where Jaden Hardy's been playing, where Omax Prosper's been playing, where Kessler Edwards has been playing for Exum to get 15 to 17 minutes. This is not fantasy relevant for most of you. It will be for very deep league scenarios, maybe even some of the, which I'm sure you guys have already rostered him in the old double Onyx, Diamond, Titanium, Platinum, Palladium leagues. But Exum had a real hot shooting run last season, but overall he's not a very good fantasy player. I expect that Isaiah Stewart is out. But we don't have that information yet. Yesterday he was ejected from the game and then did the old finger pistol towards the Pacers bench. NBA doesn't like that usually, but we haven't heard information at the time of me recording this, which is just before 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. We haven't heard about a suspension. I believe he will be suspended, though. What am I watching for? Well, for both these teams, I'm watching for Mr. Thompson. And I think I'm talking to them because Klay Thompson has been playing well of late. Do I believe in that? No. I would put him in a similar class to his opposite number in this one, not Ausar Thompson, but Malik Beasley, a 3 points and points streamer whose minutes don't push super high and he doesn't offer anything else. But he has been playing well. On the Pistons side of things, we've got 20 minutes only from Ausar Thompson in each of the last 2 games, and that is not enough. We need 25 plus minimum for him to be a 12-team league guy, and when it pushed up to that a few games ago, we thought, okay, we're here. The fact that it rolled back down is discouraging, because what those things suggest to me, there's 2 things that suggests to me when that happens with any player who has been on a minutes limit, who's dealt with health concerns, whatever. If they're getting 20 minutes, and you get 23, and 24, and 26, and 30, and it's like the Vince McMahon falling back in his chair meme, right? So you go, okay, we're here. And then if he goes from 30 back to 20 and back to 19, there's 2 ways to look at that. Either A, the reason that his minutes weren't high before was not health related, was not minutes restriction, it was just they didn't think he was good enough to play those minutes. Or B, the health concerns, the conditioning concerns cropped back up and they had to pull the minutes back. Neither of those things is good. None of those scenarios is good. And that's what happened to Ausar Thompson. So I am out on him for the time being. Dinwiddie's going to be a stream in Dallas. So Grimes can be as well, but I feel more confident about Dinwiddie getting the minutes, about getting 28 to 29 and being able to fall back on at least getting assists if the shot doesn't fall. And then for the Pistons, it's nearly always going to be Leaky Beasley. Tim Hardaway could be that guy, but I'd much prefer Beasley over Hardaway and over Ausar Thompson at this stage, given the way that their games have been rolling. The second game we look at is the Clippers and the Hornets. And yeah, I'd love to get a little bit more clarity on this Charlotte team. I'm just going to double check to see whether we've got that clarity. We do not. That is annoying. This is a Schedule Plus spot for the Hornets. The Clippers are 12.5-point favorites, so they're expecting not much to be going on with Charlotte in this one. Chris Dunn's going to be out for the Clippers. Cam Christie, doesn't really matter. He is questionable. Trey Mann is out for the Hornets. LaMelo Ball is out for the Hornets. I really don't think that Cody Martin's going to play. They're calling it a sports hernia, which probably is weeks, but they haven't actually ruled him out for any length of time. I don't think Cody plays. And then last game, Mark Williams and Josh Green sat out. And that was an isolated game. It wasn't a back-to-back. This game for Charlotte is the first game of a back-to-back. So, Mark Williams is almost certainly sitting one of the Friday-Saturday back-to-backs. Josh Green, if he's dealing with foot soreness, may sit one of those two as well. Whether it's this game or not, I have no idea. If Mark Williams is out, it's an easy move. You just stream in Moussa Diabate. Easy. It's possible that Williams sits both of these games. We saw this mid-December, I think, with Miller and Ball, where they had this period of games where they just said, all right, you're just having a week off. And they came back. I just watch that one. It's always going to be the urge to think, well, is he done for the season? But we saw it earlier, and it wasn't the case, obviously. So I just want to see exactly what they're going and deciding to do. What am I watching for on the Clippers side of things? Kawhi Leonard looked great. The minutes are up. When do we get to 33? That's going to be the real interesting target here. And then for the Hornets, Vasa Micic, who will start, I'm certain, with LaMelo Ball out. Nick Smith has been terrible, and Micic can be really bad with his shooting. His two-point percentage is horrific, but he can score okay at times. But more importantly, he gets assists, and that is useful. That is hard to find, and that is useful for a lot of teams. In terms of stream guys, on the Clippers, Derek Jones is playing 30 a night with Chris Dunn out, so that's useful. And then on the Hornets, I do look at Josh Okogie, who wasn't very good last game, and we know what he is. He'll have the games where he shoots above his head. He'll have the games where he gets big steals. But in a situation where maybe Green is out, and we know LaMelo is out, and Nick Smith continues to struggle, I don't mind a stream of Okogie. He feels a bit borderline, though. You can also throw Moussa Diabate into there if we do get the news that old mate Mark Williams is actually out. Third game. We got some positive news here, which is an absolute W. We love positive news. It is Chicago and Toronto. The Bulls and the Raptors are both in Schedule Plus runs. Levine is out for the birth of a child. Torrey Craig is out with that leg issue. Taylor Horton-Tucker missed or left the last game with a shin injury. No update on him. It doesn't really matter that much. Immanuel Quickley, I thought would be doubtful here, but we got the news. We got the positive update. We got the word on the street. Well, not the word on the street. The official notification that he's questionable. So he's back. Either it's this game or it's Sunday. Quickley will play one of these next two games. He might play both. I would imagine there'd be a small minutes limit early on, but he could be returning here very easily. And then we got the official designation on Grade A Dick. He is questionable. Kelly Olynyk, he is questionable. Immanuel Quickley, like I said, is questionable. And they also added Jamal Shed as questionable. Now, Shed had been playing the backup role behind Quickley, and Davion Mitchell had been getting zeros. So there is a chance for Mitchell to stay in the rotation. There is a chance for Mitchell to get 1 million minutes if both Shed and Quickley are out. Or there's a chance that Mitchell gets 0 minutes if Quickley and Shed are both available. So keep an eye on that for all of you Davion Mitchell enthusiasts out there. Matas Buzelis has been the first man off the bench for the Bulls in each of the last 2 games. It hasn't translated into 30 minutes or 25 minutes, and Patrick Williams is still playing more than Buzelis, but it's an interesting development from Bill Donovan. So let's see exactly what they do with Buzelis. He is their leading shot blocker for the season. If he played 30 minutes a night, we would roster him in 12-team leagues, but he hasn't, but we watch it. And for the Raptors, Rowan Barrett was really disappointing last game. He is a divisive character in fantasy. I believe we're still rostering him, but the free throws have been horrendous. I'd like to see him get back to, can you give me 70? Is that too much to ask for? Maybe it is. In terms of stream guys, Dosunmu is more than a streamer, but he's available in a lot of spots. He's more than a streamer because A, Patrick Williams was benched, and B, Zach LaVine is out. And when they are all healthy, and LaVine, and White, and Giddey, and Ball are all there, it is hard for Dosunmu to do enough. But one of them's out, so we're good. And then on the Raptors side of things, Bruce Brown has been playing well. The production's been solid. It's more about minutes for me with him. If he's a 24-a-night guy where Dick is either not out or in foul trouble, which has been the case for 3 consecutive games, where does Brown fit? And if Quickley and Shed and Dick are all available, how much Brown do we get? That is really the question with him. He's useful enough to stream, but it is a little squishy. It does get a little bit constricted in terms of where the playing time might end up. We've got more games to talk about. And we will do that. Of course, we will do that. But today's episode is brought to you by It's brought to you by our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes, it used to be waiting and wondering if you were going to get any money back. Remember that? Well, then you wait and you wonder, and then you wait some more and you'd worry some more. Well, that's the thing of the past. Taxes now is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so that you can focus on your day. An expert who will find your every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, what should we do? We should do the next one. We are 3 games in. There are 7 games on. The next one is Denver and Philadelphia. It is time for Nikola Jokic to once again duck Joel Embiid. So just keep an eye out on a Jokic absence in this one. I'm joking. I was just waiting to see who would click on that one. Denver and Philly are both in schedule plus spots, so that's good for them. In terms of other injury updates, let's have a look. Chanchar is out for Denver. And then we got the updates in Philadelphia, the ones that we didn't want, but we got them. And all of these ones here that I wasn't sure about, every player, Paul George, KJ Martin, Caleb Martin, Joel Embiid, and Andre Drummond, they're all out. This is that original 7 to 10 day evaluation of Embiid with his knee swelling, and he's out again. And Paul George is day to day, and he's out again. And Andre Drummond's toe has been a problem all year, and he's out again. And they're still all out. No George, no Martin, no Embiid, and no Drummond. So it's exactly the same scenario for Philadelphia that we had in the last game. Who are we watching on Denver? Well, last game they made the change. Aaron Gordon started over Christian Brown. Brown played like 28 minutes coming off the bench and was serviceable. Let's continue to watch his usage, his efficiency, and his minutes to see what we do with him as we move forward. And on the Philadelphia side, Rick Council has outperformed Justin Edwards in each of the last 2 games. Now, Edwards has started in place of Paul George, so one of Edwards or Council is going to start in this game, but it has been preferred to go to Council. Now, previously, Council had started and they'd preferred going to Edwards, so maybe they just like the guy off the bench. Let's keep an eye on how they use those guys, because it could be interesting if George or Martin or Martins do not play for periods of time. Peyton Watson is probably the best streamer on the Nuggets, but if Brown or Gordon are available, or even Westbrook, you go with those guys instead. And in Philadelphia, Yabusele. We've seen Gershon. He's had some pretty mid games, even with other centers out. If you're in deeper leagues, we're flopping out a boner because Adem is going to be the backup. But Yabusele in his 31, 32 minutes has been like fine, without being anything spectacular outside of the occasional pop game. The 5th game of the day, we're talking Celtics. We're talking Pelicans. This is going to be a large spread. It isn't released yet, I don't believe, the spread for this game. Oh, no, it just came out. It is Celtics by 10. There you go. It didn't just come out. I had it there. I just didn't see it because I'm blind. This is the last game of the week for the Pelicans. Last game for Boston, Sam Hauser and Al Horford did not play, so I've got them questionable here. We know Herb Jones and Brandon Ingram are going to be out for the Pelicans, and then Jordan Hawkins, he missed the last one, and when Hawkins was out, they went back to BJ Boston, and I expect if Hawkins plays, then they don't get BJ to waste one of his active games for this one. What am I watching for? Drew Holiday against his former team. If you believe in revenge games, you've got to be fired up here. You shouldn't be. Holiday is not a standard league, points league hold. In 12s, I wouldn't hold him. In 10-team categories, I wouldn't hold him. In 12-team categories, it really does depend a lot on your status, on your waiver wire, on the structure of your team, whether he is a must-roster guy. Well, that's not true. Let me put it this way. Drew Holiday is not a must-roster player. Do not believe that. This game is not binary. If someone is not must-roster, that does not mean that they can't be rostered or they need to be dropped. That's not how it works. Not must-roster means that if you're sitting in a 12-team league and you decide that you need to move on from Drew Holiday, I don't think it's incorrect. I mean, you can hold him, and in 80% of cases, it'll work. But in others, there'll be better value by getting somebody else in, by streaming the spot, by doing whatever. So not must roster does not mean unrosterable. They are different terms, different situations. It's not like I'm talking about Rui Hachimura. In terms of what I'm watching from the Pelicans, Zion. We are getting top 15 Zion. Zion has expressed his displeasure with the franchise and them sitting him out on back-to-backs, saying that he's ready to go. That's great, but you know who I'm not going to take health advice from, even if it's their own body? You. Have we seen your health and your rehab and your recovery and your diet and all that stuff before Zion? We can criticize the Pelicans medical staff, and that's okay. I get that, but I'll side with them on them managing your health versus the way that you do it. That's just me. But we'll see. He's healthy, obviously, and it's one of those ones that's like, I feel fine. Why can't I play? That goes beyond the point of it all, because it's not about whether you feel fine or not when you're coming back off multiple hamstring injuries and you're playing 2 days in a row where that increases the load of that hamstring, not enough recovery time leading to more risk of it getting hurt. So you feel fine. That doesn't mean literally anything. So that's why. So he can come out and say what he wants, and it's great that he says it for a couple of reasons, because again, there's this narrative that players just never want to play, which again is some of the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever heard. And it is on the organizations, and the organizations do the right thing for the vast majority of the time. But yeah, understand that. I don't know why I went on for that so long. On the Celtics, Luke Cornett's sort of a streamer. It's more valuable if Horford is out, but even then it's back-end stuff. And then Yves Missy's been dropped in enough spots that he's in the stream zone. Rightfully so dropped, like he's been quite bad, but he's at least in that mix of names now that when you're looking for some blocks or maybe some rebounds, he can be someone that you can add and you can use and you don't have to hold on to long-term. The next game is the Milwaukee Bucks up against the San Antonio Spurs. This game is in San Antonio. The Bucks are 3-point favorites. It's a Schedule Plus spot for both of these teams. If you don't know what Schedule Plus means, it means one of two things. It means that the team has either got 3 games in 4 nights or 4 games in the next 6 nights. If you're a Schedule Minus, it means you've got 1 game in 4 nights or you've got 2 games in 6 nights. It's big differences. And if you're not mentioned there, you're just sort of neutral. And a neutral spot is 2 games in 4 nights, 3 games in 6 nights. That's a neutral NBA schedule. Big Boom AJ Green and Bob Portis. Green's been out for a while with this quad issue, so he's questionable here. The Hornets just ruled Mark Williams out again for tomorrow. Great. Josh Green's, so we got the update on Charlotte. Let me just give you that. Cody Martin is out as expected. Josh Green is probable and Mark Williams is out. I guess that means that Mark Williams will play Saturday. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye. But we got that update right now. And if you care, Cam Christie's also out for the Clippers. Back to Big Boom AJ Green and Bobby Portis, both questionable here. Tyler Smith and Sidi Sissoko, the other two are questionable, but they literally, G League Ignite legends, they just never play. So I don't think we need to worry too much about them. When Portis is out, what you see is more from Trent, more opportunities for Middleton, more for Prince, more minutes for Prince, more minutes for Lopez. And with Green out, it exacerbates the Trent stuff. A little bit more of Rollins and maybe some Pat Connaughton for those of you in deeper leagues looking to stream. I do want to watch Gary Trent because the way the things have played out recently, he's been getting more run, he's been doing more things, he's been pushing up to a sub-Malik Beasley level of streaming with points and threes and steals. We don't rely upon him long-term, and if Big Boom AJ plays, it is harder to get excited about Trent, but it's been better lately. On the Spurs, Chris Paul is in a slump. I would be very interested in still having Chris Paul, and there's a lot of uncertainty around the Spurs, around De'Aaron Fox and willingness to part with Steph Castle or whatever. Most of this stuff, nothing probably happens, is my guess. But at the moment, there's a ton of uncertainty around who's going to be where, and that's what happens when we're a week out from the trade deadline. I would be very interested to get Chris Paul at a cheap price, nothing price in a trade, if that's possible, and I want to see what happens with him here. Taurean Prince is probably the stream on the Bucks. Gary Trent can be that guy, but I feel like there's more minutes upside in Prince. And then for the Spurs, you've got a toss-up between old mate Steph Castle and the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Barnes has been really good of late. I don't trust it for a single second, but there's at least stream value in both of these players. I don't really buy into it long term, but they're both doing the thing at the moment that they need to do for me to tell you that there may be a stream. That is as much couching as I can do on that. Let's go to the final game of the day. Yeah, the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors. We're in San Francisco for this one. The Warriors are 1-point favorites. It's a Schedule Plus spot for the Suns, and it's the final game of the week for the Warriors. Draymond is out, and Kuminga is out. That is all that we know at this point. They are the only injuries that we've got listed for the teams. So what am I watching for? On the Suns, Bradley Beal. What are the minutes? Is he 25 minutes? How does it work with Allen and Dunn and O'Neal and all those guys? Because last game, Ryan Dunn barely played. O'Neal played 31 minutes. Is that what's real? Is Beal playing 25 real? I am holding Beal through the deadline to see what happens. But if Bradley Beal's a 25-minute a night player, he's not going to be a long-term hold. So we just watch that. And then the Golden State Warriors. Trayce Jackson-Davis played 0 minutes last game. Quentin Post started, played 6 minutes. Looney was the guy. I see a lot of stuff that gets thrown around at times by anybody. What are they doing? How can they possibly treat Trayce Jackson-Davis like this? Let me just be very clear about what Trayce Jackson-Davis is. He was like almost 24 on draft night. He was like the 55th pick in the draft. He's an undersized big man who can't shoot. He's not a high-level prospect. He's not this highly projectable future star level guy. He's a solid enough player that if he plays 26 minutes, he can be fantasy relevant. But we can't delude ourselves into thinking that, man, this is the young core. It's all about Trayce Jackson-Davis moving forward. He's not that guy. He's not. He needs to do a lot to actually get in that spot. He's one of those guys who was an older player, came in, really did well in the first little games that he played, Dalton Connect, Jaime Jaquez, and then sort of faded, didn't develop. Teams figured him out, figured out all the weaknesses, and nothing happened. And that's sort of what's happened. So while we can criticize Steve Kerr for lots of different things, and jerking guys around, and like, is Quentin Post the answer? Probably not. But whatever. Quentin Post is also the same sort of draft pedigree as Jackson-Davis was. Picked 55 or whatever it was in the second round. The same. But there's a lot of talk about, oh, I can't believe you would bench Jackson-Davis for Post. Okay. Why? What's the difference here? I know Jackson-Davis had a much more decorated college career. I know that. But he's not that good. He's not this unassailable, high-level future star player. So I got absolutely no problem dropping Trayce Jackson-Davis. None. Move on from him. That's cool. You don't have to hold. Like, he needs 25 a night to be that player. And we are not anywhere close to that. Who are we streaming? Well, I think it has to be Royce O'Neal on the Suns side. You could put Allen in there. I wouldn't be looking at Dunn. And obviously Nurkic isn't playing at all, so that's not an option. And then deeper leagues, you go to the Cockroach, Mason Plumlee. And for the Warriors, it was an awesome game from Kevon Looney last time out. And he is still a really good defender. He probably won't score as well as he did in that last game, but Kerr loves him. He's going to play. And I don't know what happens with Post or Jackson-Davis, but Looney's getting these minutes again. So we use him as a stream guy. Again, more focused on deeper formats than standard leagues in that particular spot. We're going to talk schedule stuff. We're going to talk streaming. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game left. 2 teams, Kansas City, Philadelphia. Endless possibilities. One of those possibilities is Philadelphia winning. One of those possibilities is Kansas City winning. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. You can predict the first touchdown. You can call who you think the MVP is going to be. You can bet on the coin toss. You can bet on just the game, who's going to win, the spreads, the totals, the individual totals, the anytime touchdown scorers. It's all there over on FanDuel. And as a new customer at FanDuel, if you bet $5, you can load yourself up, win that first $5 bet, and get $200 in bonus bets into your account and use that live betting on the Super Bowl there with your buddies, with your homies, just chilling with the live betting app, opening up, and check it all out over on FanDuel. So download the app or head to FanDuel.com today to get started. Bet just $5. And if you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, we're going to talk schedule. We're going to talk schedule across these games, back-to-backs, chunks, 5s and 2s. So there are 4 teams who have a Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Charlotte, we just talked about that with Mark Williams sitting one of these games and maybe back on Saturday. Denver's got the back-to-back, no real rest there. One of the things, or risk there. One of the things I do want to watch, though, is Nikola Jokic is doing the thing where he's pissed off. He's not trying as hard. He's like, he used to have these slumps a lot in the middle of the season where he'd be like, I'm done, I'm so annoyed, I'm not going to try, I'm going to just give fouls, whatever. He's doing that now. I don't know if that's a symptom of the front office issues or whatever it is, but he's not right. Anyway, back-to-back for the Nuggets, back-to-back for the Suns. Don't really think anyone's going to sit there. And back-to-back for the Spurs, also think we're pretty good. The real worry there, of course, is whether Mark Williams actually does get to play in that second game, or if like a Miles Bridges might even sit in that second game as well. That is a possibility. For the chunks, Friday through to Tuesday. Now, Monday is a 10-game day. It's borderline streamable, so we'll include it here. All 6 of these names are 60% plus available on Yahoo, and all of them have 3 games in the next 5 days. Ayo Dosunmu and Lonzo Ball in Chicago, Royce O'Neal with the Suns, Tamani Kamara and the Blazers, Spencer Dinwiddie and the Mavs and Josh Okogie and the Hornets. All of these guys with value. But obviously you could go, well maybe I try Musa Diabate. Maybe I go to Vasiljevic there in Charlotte. Maybe I do Quentin Grimes. Maybe I look at Klay Thompson for Dallas. Maybe we go with Scoot or Shaden Sharp or Donovan Clingan in Portland. You know the ideas of the teams, but they're just the 6 names that I think are projecting out the best. If you look at 5s and 2s, so you know us, we're not controlled by big calendar here. We're not big on the shout out to former Pope Gregory. We don't adhere to the Gregorian calendar. We do our own thing. We want to know in each 7-day period who's playing 5 and who's playing 2. And in the next 7 days, the Denver Nuggets have got 5 games. That is the only team with a 5-game week. Who even made up the word week? A bit sus if you ask me. Big calendar, just really imposing their will on us. The Nuggets are the only team with 5 games in the next 7 days. No 2-game teams. So the Nuggets have an advantage, but we also have to watch for wearing down at some point during this run. Watch Aaron Gordon on that as well. I said the Nuggets no rest risk. Watch Gordon actually on the Friday, Saturday. There's a chance with his calf issues that he does sit one of those. So you can watch that and pay a bit of attention. In terms of streaming, looking at streams of the day, let's get into that. You know how all this works by now, I think. 10-teamer, I'm going with Lonzo. For 12 teams, I go to Royce O'Neal. 14 teams, I go to Vasiljevic. And 16 teams, I am going to Patrick Williams. I know. But it is a 16-team league and he's getting minutes. For your Yahoo and ESPN points stream of the day, we are going to go towards Ayo Dosunmu. Some more 10-team league guys. These are all below 65% rostered on Basketball Monster. So it's Lonzo Ball, Royce O'Neal, Josh Okogie, Vasiljevic, Derek Jones, and Patrick Williams. For your 12-team streamers, again, if you're in a 12-teamer, look at the first 6 names and then move on to this list. Kevon Looney, Basketball Paul Reed, assuming that Isaiah Stewart is suspended. Gary Payton, who had that huge dunk yesterday, and who knows with Steve Kerr, but maybe, I don't know. Najee Marshall, hopefully the minutes restriction's not there. Quentin Grimes, Guy Santos, Al Helper. Anytime you stream a Warriors guy, though, you know it's at your own risk. Deeper leagues, these are all 20% or below rostered. You've got Nick Smith, who's been horrendous lately, but there's always a pop-off chance. I did put Jamal Shed there, and that was A, before I knew Shed was on the injury list, and B, before I knew Quickley was questionable. So I think you can ignore Shed. The Cockroach, Mason Plumlee, Tim Hardaway, Jose Alvarado, and the artist formerly known as Torian Prince. Yahoo point streaming. All 60% plus available. You've got Dosunmu, Micic, Steph Castle, Royce O'Neal, Josh Okogie, and Leaky Beasley. And lastly, it's ESPN Points League streaming. Dosunmu, O'Neal, Beasley, Okogie, Lonzo Ball, and Vasilije Micic. And that is a preview show on National Hot Chocolate Day. I don't even know if I told you that at the start of the show. It's National Hot Chocolate Day. If you like hot chocolates, not me. But if you like hot chocolates, here's your day. Get around it, celebrate it, and celebrate by dropping a thumb on the video, dropping a comment on the video as well. And also, while you're having that hot chocolate, just have a reflection of your day. That's easy stuff. You don't have to sit there and think deeply or analyze it. Just go, that was good. That was good. I like that part. You don't need to sit there and replay every conversation or interaction you had or a little bit of thing that you did wrong. We'll do it. And the fact that everyone does those things means that nobody should do them. And I know that sounds weird. We'll elaborate another day. Focus on some positives, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.